In 9.5, we are going to continue to use the quadratic formula. This is the same as last section, so you don't have to copy it again. But if ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, the whole thing over 2a. In last class, all of our solutions were irrational. In this class, we will have rational and irrational solutions. So we might have to simplify the square root depending on the problem. But the way we start the problem will be the same every time. So first, let me check if this is in standard form. It is. It's going from highest degree to lowest, and it's equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and identify my a, b, and c. And then I'm going to plug into the formula. If you've started to memorize it, it's great. If not, that's okay. Keep watching the video with this song. Okay, so x equals negative b. What's b? B is 9. So negative 9 plus or minus in the radical b squared. What's b? B is 9. So 9 squared minus 4 times a times c. Then the entire thing is over 2a. Okay, let's go ahead and simplify it just like last class. Okay, in the radical, I have 9 squared. 9 to the second power is 9 times 9, which is 81. Minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. In the denominator, 2 times 2 is 4. And then if I do 81 minus 40, I get 41 over 4. And now let's look at this. Do we know the square root of 41? We don't. We also, can we simplify it? No, I can only think of 1 times 41. So we're going to leave it like that. So that's like last class where we left it with an irrational solution. The next one will have a rational solution. So we'll have to keep going if we get a rational solution. Okay, so I'm going to use quadratic formula to solve it. If you glance at it, we could have factored this as well if the directions had been to solve using any method, but we're going to try the quadratic formula to show it works both ways. So a is 1, b is 7, and c is 10. And I'll go ahead and plug it in the quadratic formula. So the first thing is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and simplify it just like normal. Okay, 7 squared is 49. Minus 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 10 is 40. Okay, 49 minus 40 is 9. Okay, now I'm going to look at the radical here. The square root of 9, I know what the square root of 9 is, so I'm not done. I have to keep going. Okay, so what is the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is 3. So I'm going to write 3 over 2, which means I'm going to get a rational answer, which means I'm going to get a nice answer. So some people can do this step in their head. I like to do it separately, so I keep track of my 2 solutions, because this is actually representing 2 solutions. So up here, let's see. One of the possible situations is I'm doing negative 7 plus 3 divided by 2. Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4 divided by 2. So one of my answers is negative 2. Okay, my second answer, because this is plus or minus, I use the plus here. Now I'm going to use the minus. If I do negative 7 minus 3 divided by 2, negative 7 minus 3 is negative 10. Divided by 2, I get negative 5. So my answers are negative 2 and negative 5, which means when they're rational, it's actually more work. Now, if I look back at the original problem, if I had tried to factor this, it would have been x plus 5 times x plus 2, and I would have still gotten x equals negative 5 and negative 2. So the quadratic formula will solve any quadratic equation. Sometimes you just might not want to use it because it's more work. but I'll let you decide that in the future. Okay, let's go ahead and try C. Okay, first I'm going to identify my A, B, and C. A is 3, B is positive 2, and C is negative 1. I'll go ahead and plug it into the quadratic formula because that's what we are working on today. Okay, in the numerator, x equals negative b, so negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, let me multiply out some of these numbers. Okay, 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times 3 is minus 12. Minus 12 times minus 1 is going to switch it to positive 12 over 6. Let's see, 4 plus 12 is 16, so I have the square root of 16 over 6. Okay, now let me look at this. Do I know the square root of 16? I do know the square root of 16, so I need to keep going. So negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 16 is 4 over 6, and I'm going to get 2 answers. Okay, let me consider the first answer. If I use the plus sign, negative 2 plus 4 is 2 over 6. And I can simplify 2/6 into 1/3, which is one of my answers. Okay, now the second possibility is that I could use the minus sign. If I do minus 2 minus 4, I get minus 6 over 6, which gives me minus 1. So my two answers are positive 1/3 and negative 1, which means that if I tried to factor this, I actually could factor it. It would be parentheses 3x minus 1 and parentheses x plus 1, or we guessed and checked. So there is more than one method to solve it. Right now we're practicing the quadratic formula. Eventually you will have a choice of which method you prefer. We're going to do 2 more, and when the answers come out nicely, it's actually more work, interestingly enough. So D is in standard form. So A is 5, B is negative 11, and C is 2. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in the formula. X equals negative B. B is negative 11, so if I do negative 11, it's going to switch it to a positive 11. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Make sure you put it in parentheses so you square the negative. Minus 4ac all over 2a. Hopefully you're getting pretty good at that plugging in step. Okay, negative 11 squared is going to turn out to a positive. 11 times 11 is 121. 4 times 5 is 20, times 2 is 40. Okay, now do I know the square root of 81? I do know the square root of 81, which honestly is very sad because I have to do more work. Okay, now I'm going to consider both of my situations here so I can get both of my answers. Okay, let's see. I'm going to think about the plus sign first. Okay, let's see. If I do 11 plus 9 over 10, I get 20 over 10, which is 2. That wasn't that bad. Okay, now let me look at the minus sign. If I do 11 minus 9 over 10, I get 2 over 10, which simplifies to 1/5. So my answers are x equals 2 and x equals 1/5, which again I could have found by factoring, but this is another method. Okay, last one. And I just threw in lots of negatives. Okay, let's see. X equals negative b. B is a negative 1, so if I do a negative 1, it switches to a positive 1. Okay, b squared, so negative 1 squared, minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Okay, negative 1 squared is going to be a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, minus 4 times 2 is minus 8. minus 8 times 7 is positive 56 over 4. Okay, now do I know the square root of 57? I don't know the square root of 57. Can I think of anything I multiplied to get 57? 3 times 19, but I don't know the square root of 3 or 19. So in this case, the answer is irrational and I get to leave it like that, which is always less work.